What was your I'm on SNL and you're not moment? I was always the prettiest girl in my class. My only problem was none of the guys were my type. So when the exchanges came into my college and there was a Shiroi Ikemen, search it up, with green eyes and blonde hair, it was the first time I wondered if a guy was gonna like me back. But fast forward 2 years and we're on a flight back to America, getting ready to move in together. At first it felt like I was in some cute coming-of-age movie. He'd bring me to baseball games, diners, and I trained him to take cute photos of me beside the Statue of Liberty. But when the novelty wore off, I started to see why social media is always SH'ing on this place. I can't count how many times I had to take boogers out of my nose from how clogged it would get from the dirty air. And with all the greasy food, it was like there was a competition of who can get a heart attack the fastest. Plus with the hours we were working, I barely got to see my boyfriend. But life only got worse because soon I was waking up to ugly white spots that filled up my once completely clear forehead, along with big red marks all over my cheeks and chin. I tried to cover it up with bangs, but then they started peeling and oozing everywhere. It's even worse than it sounds. I even started journaling for the first time since I was 11, to figure out what I did to deserve this. And if you're one of those airheads who are gonna tell me pretty privilege isn't a thing, then please explain to me why all of a sudden, my coworkers started cutting me off and stopped inviting me to events. Even my closest work friend came to me one day to start randomly listing her 10 favorite skincare products that she highly recommended. But I put up with all of it and was still happy to work overtime, because it meant I could avoid torturing my boyfriend with what I had become, especially since the ugliness was spreading, and covered my curves with these big red patches that I was scratching all day long. And that's when I was introduced to a thing called backne, where your entire back gets covered in more red pimples. I tried to gaslight myself into thinking it wasn't that bad, but when I wore my backless dress and hair bun combo to a mandatory work event, someone made a joke about how I had a pizza back. When I went home I impulse bought 5 full coverage dresses, and obviously never wore my hair up again. And the girl at work who wanted to help was almost as ugly as me, so I couldn't take her advice. But you know when you get braces and you start to look at everyone's teeth? Well, I started to see the makeup that every girl had caked onto their faces and body. It was like I had X-ray vision to their ugly red pimples underneath. For the first time, I started listening to conversations about their skin or makeup routines, and they've all poured hundreds of dollars into products just to look the same, or even worse. So I went online to find out what Google had to say about my mini cuckoo. Turns out it could have been food, makeup, air quality, weather changes, pillowcases. Even just talking about it makes my head spin. It seemed like I was doomed to live with acne forever, all because I chose to live in the USA to be with the love of my life. And after what felt like the 100th day of going to the bathroom just to scratch my back, and people staring or asking about my acne, I just couldn't hold in the tears anymore. I had to go home early, and this happened to be on my boyfriend's day off, which meant he was getting the first real look of my new face. When I got home he stared at me in disbelief, and when I asked him what was wrong he just said, "Oh, nothing," before avoiding my hug and kiss. I wanted to surprise him with a cute VS set, but I couldn't stop thinking of how good my body used to look in it. We didn't speak again until dinner time, which he ate on the couch and I ate at the table. I thought he was gonna break up with me until he came over and tried to mention it. I started crying and repeating I'm sorry for turning out like this. It surprised me when he held me, to reassure me that everything was going to be okay, and that he loved me because of my heart, not anything else. But I broke his embrace, and ran to the bedroom to hide myself from him. I knew it was bad when I couldn't even cry anymore, because it was hurting my skin too much. So I called in sick to work the next day in order to find a way to clear my skin. I bought a few things that girls on TikTok promised worked for them, thinking that everything would be okay soon. But after almost 4 weeks it didn't do anything, and by that point me and my boyfriend's love life was in shambles, since I was basically rejecting his compliments and intimacy every single day. But I was still trying to do something about it, and soon I fell down another skincare rabbit hole on YouTube. And this time I actually saw something useful. It was a video called "Is Water Ruining Your Skin?" It was 2 dermatologists talking about how the water hardness of your shower could have an effect on your skin, since it would damage it on a daily basis. It didn't matter what cleaners and products you used, because when hard water is mixed with body wash, it forms a sticky residue that clogs up your pores, so it's basically guaranteed that your entire body will be covered in acne. That explained why I was only breaking out in America and not in Japan, since the water in Japan was very pure and didn't have any harsh chemicals in it, but the water in America sucked. So I went looking for a new shower head and found this Afina that's meant to improve skin in 2 weeks by making your water clear, and since the shower head was free so I'd feel stupid if I didn't try it. My boyfriend helped me install it, and after just 2 weeks my forehead spots were fading away, and my face went back to its normal skin tone. I knew things were good when I would thank my boyfriend's compliments, instead of telling him to shut up. After a month of taking warm showers with the Afina, I barely had any pimples on my face and back, and my skin was so healthy I could finally look at it again without throwing up, especially since it finally stopped peeling. None of the pimples left any scarring, and my blackheads were gone. So halter tops and backless dresses were part of my outfit rotations again. The world was no longer my scratching pole, and I didn't have to worry about the material of my jumpers anymore. The best part was when I felt confident enough to cover myself in lingerie, and feel my boyfriend's hands against the soft skin of my lady parts. People at work were also begging me to go to their events again, but I rejected them because I didn't want friendships based on how I look anymore. I did end up recommending the Afina to the girl at work with skin worse than mine, since she was the only one who actually wanted to help me and didn't throw me away the second I broke out. She came into work 2 months after using it, and told me I changed her life because everyone is treating her differently. People are finally noticing her and boys are asking for her number. She even got invited to a party next week, Even though she had never been invited to one by a man, she asked me to tag along so I could show off how hot I was, and there was no way I could say no to a party invite. We ended up becoming best friends after that, and the best part is I finally have a friend as hot as me.